Hungary erupts as 50,000 people take to the streets demanding Orban's resignation. Peter Magyar, the rising political star, promises change while Orban defends his pro-Russian stance. Of course, Hungary is facing fierce criticism from the EU as Prime Minister Viktor Orban threatens to block sanctions on Russia with record-high Russian gas imports and demands for renewed transit through Ukraine. Is Hungary allying with Moscow? More from Nikita Skoblikov and Alexander Zaslavets in our report.
On the anniversary of the Hungarian Revolution, more than 50,000 people came to the streets of Budapest demanding the resignation of Prime Minister Viktor Orban. The rally was organized by the opposition party Respect and Freedom. Its leader, Peter Magyar, speaking to the gathered crowd, accused the pro-Russian politician Orban of betraying national interests and announced plans to conduct a survey on 12 key economic and political issues to gather citizens' opinions.
Those who deceive their people must end up in the dustbin of history. For 15 years, we were told everything would be fine, that success was just around the corner, and during all those 15 years, we just waited, and waited. But the proud lords must listen. The homeland cannot be in a queue. We will put an end to this. We have a new battle cry. Saddle up and ride. Hungary wants to live again. Spring is coming, the spring of Hungarians, and together we will end Orban's winter.
Viktor Orban's former ally and now opposition leader Peter Magyar founded his movement a year ago. According to Reuters, his party Respect and Freedom has already surpassed Orban's ruling party Fidesz in most polls. Hungary's next parliamentary elections are scheduled for 2026.
People see that finally there is someone and something, because this is a huge force that Peter can move, and that change might finally come. I really believe that by 2026 at the latest, we will overthrow this government.
On the same day, Prime Minister Viktor Orban gave a speech in Budapest, according to the Associated Press, in front of a crowd of several thousand selected supporters. He promised to rid the country of those who believed acted in the interests of foreign countries. According to Orban, these were independent media and non-governmental organizations receiving foreign funding. The pro-Russian politician called them bugs and vowed to fight them. A significant portion of his speech was devoted to criticizing Ukraine and the European Union.
The empire doesn't want to help Ukraine, it wants to colonize it. The tool of colonization is war. The rulers of Europe have decided that Ukraine must continue the war, no matter the cost. In return, they will receive quick membership in the Union using our money. Our only response to this can be a union, but without Ukraine.
Since the beginning of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, Prime Minister of Hungary Viktor Orban has consistently maintained a pro-Russian stance. He has criticized the Ukrainian government, blocked EU sanctions against Russia, and opposed supplying weapons to Ukraine. Moreover, while the European Union has completely isolated a Russian dictator, Orban has continued personal negotiations with him, even traveling to Moscow for one-on-one meeting. Due to his ongoing actions, which contradict the common interests of Europe, there have been calls within the EU to suspend Hungary's voting rights in the European Council. Such a mechanism is provided for by a Lisbon Treaty. Its 7th article allows for the suspension of a member state's voting rights if it undermines the principles and the values of the EU. However, as analysts note, this process involved 2 stages, with the first being a warning.
This mechanism could be triggered for Hungary. Hungary will be given a warning and asked to address the issues that caused the warning. This decision must be supported by 4/5 of all EU member states. The second part involves suspending the country's voting rights, in this case, Hungary, or suspending its right to vote for a certain period until the issues raised are resolved.
As analysts point out, Article 7 of the Lisbon Treaty was already applied to Hungary in 2018. However, the decision was not made at that time because it was blocked by other participants. Reported by Alexander Zaslavets, Nikita Skoblikov, UATV News.
Global leaders push for a 30-day ceasefire, urging Putin to negotiate. As pressure mounts, the path to peace seems closer, but will Russia actually take the first step? Also in the video is a recap for you. A 30-day ceasefire could be the first step toward ending the war in Ukraine. Finally, the US and European leaders are backing Kyiv's diplomatic efforts while military aid continues to flow through Poland. But will Russia accept the deal.
Prime Minister of the United Kingdom Keir Starmer has urged Putin to agree to the US-mediated ceasefire proposal to achieve a just and lasting peace in Ukraine. To bring Putin to the negotiation table, European countries have promised to continue increasing pressure on him.
Keep the military aid flowing to Ukraine and keep tightening the restrictions on Russia's economy to weaken Putin's war machine and bring him to the table. And we agreed to accelerate our practical work to support a potential deal. So we will now move into an operational phase.
On March 15th, an online meeting of world leaders took place with around 25 European countries participating. During the World Tour Summit of the Coalition of the Willing, initiated by Prime Minister of the United Kingdom Keir Starmer, discussions focused on issues related to Ukraine. President of Ukraine Volodymyr Zelensky, during the video conference, called on allies to use global connections to achieve peace.
The path to peace must begin unconditionally. And if Russia doesn't want this, then strong pressure must be applied until they do. Moscow understands one language. I ask you to talk to America, to President Trump, to help bring peace faster. This can happen through full sanctions, strong pressure, forcing Russia to make peace. Peace is possible. It's possible when we all work together for peace, for security guarantees, for ensuring that the aggressor gains nothing from this war. Thank you so much. Thank you for your support.
Chancellor of Germany Olaf Scholz stated that Russia must now take steps toward a ceasefire as Ukraine needs a just and lasting peace. Meanwhile, President of Finland Alexander Stubb believes that Russia is attempting to play a prolonged game and does not want peace.
His fundamental goal, namely the destruction of Ukraine's independence, sovereignty, and territorial integrity, has not changed at all. Hopefully, we can continue the pressure from the West that forces Russia to cease fire. Alexander Stubb, President of Finland, from the Pusle message.
The Kremlin may disrupt or at least delay negotiations on the 30-day ceasefire by spreading disinformation about alleged war crimes by the Ukrainian armed forces in the Kursk region. This conclusion was made by analysts at the Institute for the Study of War. Specifically, Russian dictator Putin, representatives of the Russian government, state propaganda media, and pro-Kremlin bloggers have recently intensified accusations against the Ukrainian armed forces, accusing them of alleged war crimes during their 7-month operation in the Kursk region.
Putin likely intends to use this narrative, falsely portraying Ukrainian forces as brutal war criminals, as the Kremlin did in late 2021 and 2022, to justify Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine as the action of a merciful leader. From the Institute for the Study of War report,
on March 13, President of US Donald Trump stated that if Russia does not agree to a 30-day ceasefire, it will be an unfortunate moment for peace. According to him, the ceasefire is the first stage of negotiations. President of France Emmanuel Macron urged Moscow to respond clearly in ceasefire negotiations, stating Russia does not appear to be sincerely seeking peace.
It is intensifying the fighting. President Putin wants to obtain everything, then negotiate. Our strategy of peace through force is at stake now. If we want peace, Russia must respond clearly and the pressure must be clear, in conjunction with the United States, to obtain this ceasefire. Emmanuel Macron, President of France, from a BFM TV publication.
While claiming readiness for a ceasefire, Russia continues to terrorize the Ukrainian population, shelling peaceful cities and villages. In the past week alone, Russia's army launched over 1,020 strike drones, around 1,360 guided aviation bombs, and more than 10 missiles of various types across Ukraine. 11 regions of Ukraine were targeted, hundreds were injured, and several dozens were killed. Reported by Alexandra Zaslavets, Natalia Husak, Volodymyr Shtengelov, UATV News.
Ukrainian-made drones take the center stage in transforming global military balance with advanced technologies and battle-tested capabilities. These drones are rewriting the rules of engagement and setting a new standard for future warfare. Ukraine is no longer waiting. It's building its own advanced air defense systems, including equivalents to the Patriot missile systems. Even with delays in promised Western military aid, President Zelensky has announced a massive push to develop homegrown solutions. More about that in the reports by Alexander Zaslavets and Victoria Smirnova.
Two Ukrainian companies were among the contractors awarded contracts by the Department of Defense Innovation in conjunction with the United States Department of Defense to build prototypes of long-range kamikaze drones, the Defense News reported. The Artemis program, initiated by Congress in 2023, aims to create affordable drones and counter-drone systems for the US, European and Indo-Pacific commands. According to the Wall Street Journal, US drone technology has been disappointing on the battlefield. As a result, defense startups have joined forces with Ukrainian manufacturers to develop more advanced battle-tested drones.
No company in the U.S. can keep up with Ukraine. You know, their stuff works. The stakes are too high for them. Their labs need to produce battle-tested products. Nathan Mintz, co-founder of the California startup CX2, in an interview with the Wall Street Journal.
In a short period, the customers reviewed more than 165 applications, conducted demonstration flights, and selected more promising technologies for further testing. The drone prototype is expected to be ready by the end of 2025.
We are excited about the non-traditional companies who are providing low-cost, adaptable, long-range UAS platforms. Trent Emeneker, the DIU program manager, in an interview with Interesting Engineering.
Ukraine has become a recognized leader in the development and production of unmanned systems. Ukrainian drone strike targets at distances over 1,000 kilometers. They are known for their high reliability, low cost, and ability to operate in environments with electronic warfare interference, and all of them undergo testing in real combat conditions. Meanwhile, American startups bringing cutting-edge technologies in artificial intelligence, software, and sensor systems. If the experience of developers from both the US and Ukraine is combined, it could lead to the creation of drones that surpass current analogs, according to the initiators of the Defense Intelligence of Ukraine program.
Development is happening. The drone industry, the drone sector is growing very quickly, and this is most felt by the Russians right now.
Recently, it became known that the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine has codified and allowed for the use of new Ukrainian-made Windfly drone systems in the armed forces of Ukraine. These drones are based on several different frame sizes. Windfly drones can not only strike enemy positions, but also down their reconnaissance drones. When designing these drones, Ukrainian engineers took into account recommendations and experiences from frontline drone operators.
In particular, specific engineering solutions were applied to enhance the safety of crews during combat operations and improve the drone's resistance to the enemy's electronic warfare measures. From the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine publication,
96% of the drones used by defense forces of Ukraine on the front lines are domestically produced. In 2024, Kyiv set the goal of producing and purchasing 1 million drones for the Ukrainian armed forces. This target has already been exceeded. Prime Minister of Ukraine Denis Shmyhal announced that in 2025, over 2.5 million drones will be produced in the country. According to the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine, domestic production capacities allow for scaling this number up to 4.5 million. Reported by Alexander Zaslavets, Victoria Smirnova, UATV News.
And that's all with these reports. In these videos, be sure to like, share and subscribe to the channel to help us create more content for you and deliver news of the free world. Thank you. Goodbye.